You're welcome to join us once again, and it is my honor to give the main tool of the moderator, that's a microphone, to three beautiful ladies from the Belgium. Bonjour, madame. Caroline Jana, Veronika Mobilio, as well as the Gabriela Zitkova. So, you're welcome.
Thank you. I really enjoyed those presentations. It was very thought-provoking. Can I ask how many teachers in this room have been working in this area of entrepreneurship education for more than 5 years? Okay, and anybody more than 10 years? Michael, I knew you would say yes. Okay, great. And how about somebody who's just in their first year? Okay, you here with the glasses, can I just ask you, what was it like? Did you have a lot of experience, or was this terrifying?
Yes, okay, thank you. Yes, it was terrifying. I have no practical experience of working with entrepreneurship whatsoever. I'm an English teacher, so when I got the position, I was thrown into all these different kind of projects, and I had to do whatever I could to make it work. But it was great. I thought it was, by having so much pressure, I had to adapt and evolve my own teaching as well, which was a challenge, and I really liked it.
Yeah. Well, we've done, sort of surveys, opinion surveys of teachers over the years. And what I notice comes up over and over again is a little bit like what you said. My gosh, this was difficult. And then the next question, well, would you recommend this to your colleagues? Yes, absolutely. It was one of the most difficult ways to teach, but one of the most rewarding ways to teach. This was coming up a lot in these surveys. And you, sir, you asked a question earlier. Did you have the same experience? 1 year into the project?
Hello. Not exactly, actually.
Yeah.
My main problem was to transfer all the fantastic, great ideas that we could do to reality. There was in the thematic plan with all the teachers with which all the teachers are familiar with. There's what you need to teach, what you did, and then 3 times larger what you could actually
What you could have done.
What you could do.
Yeah. Ah, great.
No time.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, what can you achieve between September and June, right? Okay. Well, thanks for that feedback. This is oh, Madame Infographic is gone. I was going to ask her what she thinks of our infographic. And I was going to prepare myself for the worst. But anyway, we tried to do an infographic for JA Europe. And I think one of the most important messages that we need to get across is that it's really about education. It's not just about entrepreneurship. And it's about employment and employability. It's not just about entrepreneurship. So it's about the whole benefit that you can get from doing these kinds of activities. What is the profit for the young people? What can they gain from this? And there's much more than just what some people might say is a startup or is an entrepreneurial person. There's much more to be gained from this kind of education. And I also think, although many of you are not really maybe talking about it, but Michael from Sweden, with your many years of experience, you might reflect on this. Behind all of those teaching is a lot about financial education, financial literacy, right? By using real money and real decisions about money, young people are learning an awful lot. And if they're not using that real tool, real money, real finance, the learning seems to not be quite the same. So we think that the financial literacy is terribly important. I mentioned to you when I spoke before that the there has been a research project done by the European Commission called Entrepreneurship Education, A Road to Success. And you know, for many years, people keep telling me, yes, 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 we hear all these success stories, we hear all these nice things that these young people do, but we don't see what the impact is. Well, I always tell them, well, then you haven't been reading the right research, because there is lots of impact out there. And this report has 91 studies from all over Europe, including also MIT, including some research that's done in Canada. It's really quite an international set of impact research. And what they're saying there is that entrepreneurship education works. And they're saying there's no doubt about it. And if there's anybody out there still doubting, then they're the crazy ones. And one of the things they say, it's not just about startup potential. They're saying that it increases young people's ambitions for the future. They would like to be more than they thought they could be. There's another where it says it's higher employability. They have a greater chance than their peers to get not just a job, but a good job. It says it builds skills and attitudes. They talk about things that they don't normally learn in school: teamwork, problem solving, leadership. All of these things, they say, are so important in the modern workforce. They talk about the fact that this can be achieved not just at university, but also at secondary school and also at middle school. Many of you in junior achievement know that these kind of programs are being introduced also at the age of 13, 14, and they are being very successful. Then they talk about the fact that it's changing the culture inside schools. Do you see that in your schools? Do you see that the more teachers that get involved in this, that you actually see some changes in the culture? You're nodding your head, it's from Finland. You see that. And they have found this in the research results, that really it starts to change the culture of the institution themselves. What they say happens is that teachers become more engaged in the activity. They change the way they teach, just like you said. And then they also say that it increases the engagement with people who are not school people, so with people from outside school, with business people, and it even increases engagement with parents, because of course sometimes the parents are the people who come in and help and support. And the last thing, and this is the incredible part, is that there have been studies. The one from Canada was the good example, that when they add up the fact that there are fewer people on unemployment, more people with good jobs, more people who have created companies that have created jobs, that have created turnover, that have created tax, which have created VAT, which have created all these things, when they added it all up, they said that for every dollar that was invested in you, $45 comes back to the society and the economy. Now, if you had to, that's cheap. That's a very good deal. And I think it's one of the things that people don't realize about investing in education like this at this age. It's even cheaper than doing it at university. Now, that's that document. It's a really good document to read. And then over here, there's two projects we are working on. One is called the Innovation Cluster for Entrepreneurship Education. We have 5 countries in Europe in our network which are participating in this, and there are 5 ministries of education from those same countries. And what we're going to do is, okay, let me put it this way. If you are, I'm going to pick on you. how many company program classes are there in your school? Okay, I picked on the wrong person, you're saying? He is. 5. And if you think about how many kids there are in the school, what's the percentage? Whoa.
Whoa.
In 1 year, in 1 year. Less than 10%? Less than 10%. Because less than 10% is pretty normal in Europe. Sometimes it's less than 5% that are actually reached by these kind of programs in 1 school year. And this experiment is going to move it up to 50%. 50% penetration in 1 school year. And the question of the research is, what happens to the school when you have 50% entrepreneurship education in that school? How many teachers do you have to train? How much time do you have to spend? What's the impact on the kids, on the parents, on the teachers, on the business volunteers, on the company competition? What happens? Does it explode? What happens? It explodes. So this is what we're going to check is it possible, feasible, sustainable, and positive to get to 50% penetration? Because you know what the European Commission wants, and I think I agree with them. They want every young person in Europe to have an experience like these kids tomorrow. Well, that's 100%. So if you say we explode at 50, you explode at 10, and we explode at 50, well, so we want to get some answers to this question with this research. We want to compare little countries with big countries as well. So there's 5 very different countries in this research. The second one is an entrepreneurship education network, a little bit like we have here in this room. But the idea is to create, this is funded by the EU. They want a group of stakeholders made up of educators like you, researchers, business people, government people, policymakers together. These are very different people, you can imagine, but working on a few things that are very important for entrepreneurship education. Not entrepreneurship, but EE, what I call EE, entrepreneurship education. So they're going to be looking at teacher training, they're going to be looking at government policy, they're going to be looking at assessment tools, etc. So this will be a 3-year project, and I'm sure that the network that Junior Achievement has across Europe is going to be absolutely key to the success of this stakeholder network. So don't be surprised if you hear about this and if we invite you to participate with your ideas and your good practice. And before I hand over to my colleagues, I will just mention 3 projects that we are working on in the area of support for you, for teachers. One is called the Entrepreneurial School. And you see how the entrepreneurial is breaking through the wall on the right. It's breaking through the yellow wall. So that was the thinking behind the logo. And it's about equipping teachers with the right tools and methods to teach entrepreneurship. You can go in there. If you don't know the project at all, I will just tell you in 1 minute. You can go in there and you can find any tool or method that you might like, something you're looking for small students, younger students, for your current students, if you're looking for something about leadership, if you're looking at something about brainstorming, if you're looking at something for a full year or not. Now, you're all experts. You probably would be able to contribute tools to this platform and make suggestions. You might even be able to review the tools here and say, this is great, I used it, very useful, or you might say, this one, not so good, I recommend you take it out of the platform. It's kind of like TripAdvisor for entrepreneurship education. You can give it 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 stars. Are any of you familiar with the Entrepreneurial School platform? Yes, you are, I know. Anybody else familiar with this platform? Gabby, you have a lot of work to do. Veronica, okay. ASTE. This is a tool for assessing how successful you are in your entrepreneurship class. So you can survey your students at the beginning of your course and at the end. And the tool is going to be an app so that you can really easily use it. It's going to be online, and it will give you a good comparison with everyone else who is using the tool, a good comparison how you are benchmarked with the population. And it's a very good research tool that has been just recently approved by the European Commission. It was a 2-year, I believe, 2-year European Union funded project. And then the ESP. How many of you are familiar with the ESP? You have a lot of work to do too. You have to help us with sharing this. The Entrepreneurial Skills Pass is a qualification. It's an international qualification for your students. And they can only get this qualification if they have done the company program, if they have done a pre and post test on their competences, and if they have completed a final exam of their financial and economic literacy. Those 3 things, practical experience, assessment, and exam, those 3 things give them their Entrepreneurial Skills Pass. And they can only get it if they have participated in the company program and those other things. So it's unique for your students, but we think that today, when a young person, 17 years old, goes on to LinkedIn, there's not much they can put on their profile, right? Something like this, they can say, well, I was the finance director in my student company. We developed this really cool app in my company, and we used this infographic, and I have my Entrepreneurial Skills Pass. And you start to add a lot of value to a young person's employability in a very short time. So I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Gabriela Zhirkova. Thank you very much for your time. I might not be able to see you after this because I'll be running to my plane, but it's been good to spend the afternoon with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. I was surprised that only one person here in this room already heard about the entrepreneurial. Sorry, I'm the tallest person in our organization. So. And I will use the opportunity to present you online the product or the main outcome of the Entrepreneurial School, which is the virtual guide to entrepreneurial learning. But I have to, okay. So let me make it a little smaller. TES virtual guide is a tool that collects and provides teachers and educators a diverse range of methods and tools that you can use in your teaching and learning. This is a platform that works with 4 main areas. The most important is the first part with tools and methods, where you can find more than 125 tools sorted by different categories. So you can search in this tool by age level of your students or by subjects that you are teaching. So it's like science, technology, or music, visual arts, and so on. but also according to the teaching issues or learning outcomes. If you open any of this tool, you will get the description, the purpose of the tool, what are the learning outcomes, how to organize teaching of the tool, and on the bottom of each tool, you will find the reviews from your colleagues. So this tool is open, is designed for teachers, but all the tools that are collected in these tools are presented and recommended by teachers to teachers. If you became a member of the TES community, which means that you sign up for this TES guide, you will be able also to get or provide your feedback on individual tools, and you can score any tools that you will find in the virtual guide. At the moment, the virtual guide is translated into 8 languages, of course, in fact 9, English is the main one. So now it's accessible in Danish, Finnish, Swedish, Portuguese, Italian, Polish, Slovak, and Greek. And this is a not ending process, so there are a lot of new contribution coming, and we will work on the new translation languages. Besides the tools and methods, you can find there also the best practices from the schools participating in the TES guide, in the Entrepreneurial School project. And those good practices, again, you can find them sorted by country or by individual practices. You can get directly to the individual schools who contributed to this part. The fourth section here is the section called Policy and Strategy, where you will find the latest documents, policy documents about the entrepreneurial learning, and strategy and research documents published by national governments or other institutions. The last part here provides you with 2 assessment tools. One is developed for teachers, for primary, middle and secondary and vocational schools, and you can evaluate or assess your teaching. It was done and prepared by La Penranta University of Technology. And the second assessment tool was done or prepared by University of Warwick and provides you with a checklist of schools. If you go and sign for the virtual guide, you will have a connection, of course, to the Entrepreneurial School website, where you can find more information about the project. You can see the video, introducing video. You can sign up for the TES brief, which is a monthly newsletter, which will give you the updates about the project and new tools and methods included in the guide. And by signing up to the virtual guide, you will be able to evaluate and put your opinion on individual tools. We've prepared a short guide, which is called 10 Steps on Virtual Guide, which describes you easily what you have to do. It's very easy. Even without being signed to this entrepreneurial virtual guide, you will have access to all those tools sorted, so you can get any kind of information here. But as I mentioned at the beginning, this tool was done by teachers for teachers, and will be sustainable and useful only if we collect more feedbacks from teachers, and if the teachers can learn from contribution of their colleagues and experience how they like the individual methods and tools or documents shared within the entrepreneurial guide. Let me switch to the slides once again. So, one important thing is that not only you can evaluate the methods and tools that are already included in the virtual guide, but you can share your best practices. If you have any kind of best practices that you would like to share with your colleagues through the virtual guide page, you can submit a short form describing your tool, and you can contribute to this great network of useful tools and methods. So the virtual guide can be found on this website. You can directly from the virtual guide or from the Entrepreneurial School webpage sign for the newsletter. And on the Entrepreneurial School website, you will find the guide, how to start with test guides in 10 easy steps. As we would like to spend more time on working groups now, I would like to invite you tomorrow at the trade exhibition. We are opening a stand, which will be called JA Teachers Initiative, and Veronica, my colleague Veronica, and me will be there during the whole day to answer any of your questions regarding the entrepreneurial virtual guide or the Entrepreneurial Skills Pass or other teacher initiatives that we are preparing and working now on the European level. So now I will give a floor to my colleague Veronica.
Quite the opposite. Thanks. Okay. Gabi presented you the test guide, which is a tool that you can use in your everyday practices in classroom in order to get tips and inspiration for your practices in entrepreneurship education. At the same time, at European level, we also have 2 other projects which are useful in case you want to evaluate and assess the achievement of learning outcomes on entrepreneurship education. Caroline said in her introduction, she underlined the importance of understand the impact of entrepreneurship education, and this is something that we can do at research level, but it's also something that we can do at classroom level, with the cooperation of teachers like you that are working on entrepreneurship education. One of these 2 projects is called ASTI. It's an European project. The main purpose of the project was to develop a framework with several tools in order to evaluate the impact of entrepreneurship education. It's quite a powerful tool because it can be used across Europe, so it has been tested across Europe, and it can be used by educators, teachers, and school managers in order to understand if the learning outcomes of students after an entrepreneurship education experience are different from the ones related to other students in the same schools. Having a deep look at the tool, you can understand that, the powerful characteristic of this tool is the fact that it is good for whatever entrepreneurship education program. So you can use it in the company program, for competitions, for innovative camps, and so on. So whatever entrepreneurship education program, and it is made of 3 different questionnaires, one for each level. So there is one questionnaire at primary level, one questionnaire at secondary, and then another questionnaire at tertiary level. And all the 3 questionnaires, as Caroline said, are pre and post tests. So in case you want to use them, you are supposed to use them at the beginning of the experience and then by the end of the experience, because in this way you can measure if there is a difference in behaviors and attitudes. And all the 3 questionnaires are about knowledge, skills, mindset and attitudes, as well as behavior and intention in the future. So it's also about the perspective that the students are giving to themselves. This is the main website. I invite you to write down the link because it's an open tool, meaning that you can go to the website, you can open the questionnaires, you can download them, and you can also use them. On the website, you will find the 3 questionnaires for the 3 school level, already translated in 14 languages. And you see the list on the left of the slide. And as also Caroline underlined, we are now, for this project, in a very interesting phase, because on the website you will find a PDF with the questionnaires or an environment on SurveyMonkey. I don't know if you know this tool. Anyway, it's a tool that allows you to deliver questions online. But what we are doing right now is to develop an app for teachers and students, which will make even more easier for students to take the test and for teachers to ask the students to take them. So we will keep you informed and feel free to get in touch with the consortium of partners. You find all the information in the contact link if you want more information. So that's all about ASTE. I'm going to change topic because actually the main focus of our presentation today is another project. The name of this project is ESP, the Entrepreneurial Skills Pass. And we already asked how many people in the room know about ESP. So we don't have many people knowing it. So we have a video. And I think that we will play the video so that you can get an idea about the project, and then we will talk more about it.
Along with us on this journey of discovery. Think of it as a door opener and a way into unexpected opportunities. Follow us and learn about the Entrepreneurial Skills Pass. It's a school year like no other. Students begin with an intense idea generation phase and then agree on how to make their idea happen. This year is possibly going to be the first practical entrepreneurial experience they have ever had. Each group of students forms a company and moves quickly into the real world of building a business. They need to find startup capital, develop a business plan, and market their idea. Students are working with their teacher who are guiding them step by step through the process. Each company has a volunteer mentor from the business community who can advise them along the way. Because there are so many companies in different countries, there are lots of opportunities for students to extend their enterprises across borders, set up partnerships, or participate in international fairs and competitions. Important competencies are being developed here: creativity, self-confidence, teamwork, resourcefulness, perseverance, taking responsibility, initiative. At 3 points during the year, students reflect on how they see their progress in these areas. As the year comes to a close, students wind up their company and take a final exam to certify their business, financial, and economic knowledge. Endorsed by leading companies, education institutions, and international organizations, the Entrepreneurial Skills Pass shows the student has had real-world business experience, developed entrepreneurial competencies, and learned key economic concepts. It is a valuable addition to their skills portfolio, online profile, or CV. Having an ESP unlocks more opportunities for young people who want to pursue further education, enter the world of work, start their own business. For students who want to go ahead with their studies, further professional training, career insight workshops and scholarships are available. For those who want to have a work experience, employers offer the possibility of internships, apprenticeships and job opportunities. Students who are ready to start their own company can benefit from mentors, access to finance and other networking support or assistance. The Entrepreneurial Skills Pass is a unique journey that opens doors to new and unexpected opportunities. Come along with us on this journey.
Okay. Okay, fighting with the computer. Funny.
Students begin with an intense idea generation phase.
I don't know what's happening. Okay. I think it's okay. No. Okay. So I think you got an idea about ESP. Just repeating myself, it's a qualification. It's for students at secondary level from 15 to 19 years old. And it's about proving and certifying all the competencies and knowledge they get through the company program. You have seen in the video this infographic, this drawing, let's say, that we developed in order to make clear all the components of the project. I think that also Caroline underlined in a quite nice way the fact that in order to get ESP, it's important to have the entrepreneurial experience at school, so working with teachers at school, 1 year, developing an idea. Then at the same time, during this period, all the students are asked to take and to participate to self-assessment, so self-evaluating themselves on the development of entrepreneurial competencies. And this happens 3 times a year, so at the beginning, in the middle of the experience, and then by the end. And then by the end of the whole experience, they can choose whether they want to participate and to sit for a formal exam, which is more about, it's about skills, but it's also about knowledge in the economic finance world, let's say. And once they get the final certificate, they can access this piece that we call further opportunities. I'll explain you in a couple of minutes. Here you can see an overview of the dimension of the evaluation. So we are talking about competencies, entrepreneurial competencies. We are also talking about skills and knowledge. This is the certificate. One important thing to say for the certificate is that regardless of the country where ESP is running, we are trying to do our best to have the certificate as an international certificate, meaning that we have international signatures on the certificate, but this also means that the students will have the opportunity to, let's say, populate a pool of students or a pool of candidates which will have the opportunity to get in touch with companies and organizations endorsing the certificate and available to offer the successful students further opportunities. Where further opportunities, as you have seen in the video, means the possibility to have further training, because working with students at secondary level, it's also important to be realistic and to promote education. But there is also the possibility to have a work experience with the companies endorsing ESP, or to get support in case they want to start up their own business. Last couple of points. This is the list of countries that are running ESP. Not all of them are running this year ESP, but the idea is that by the end of 2016, all of them will be running ESP. The one that you see highlighted in bold are the countries that are running ESP this year. And I just wanted to mention that last year we ran a pilot for the project where we tested the whole process and all the questions of the final exam. This pilot was carried out in 16 countries with more than 2,000 students, and we got unuseful feedback on the questions from the students participating in the pilot, but also from teachers like you participating at the Company of the Year competition in Tallinn. So thanks to the feedback we got, we were able to improve the questions and also to work on some additional materials that we are offering to teachers and students in order to be prepared for the final exam. All these in order to introduce what we would like to do in the next 20 minutes. The project is an ongoing project, so we developed some questions, but we are still working on the contents. So we would like to ask your cooperation now. My colleagues are delivering to each table a copy of the syllabus of ESP and a copy of the online demo. Now, the syllabus is the list of topics that are in the final exam. And the online demo, it's a sort of, it's not a sort of, it's an example of the final exam. So what we would like to ask you is to have a look at the two documents in group and to discuss the topics if you think that they are suitable for company program students or not. Just to discuss if you have troubles when teaching those topics, and if at the same time you can have a look also at the questions, it might be really good for us to know whether for you the questions are good or not. Just another suggestion, in the syllabus you find 4 areas. We don't have time, I think, in each table to go through the 4 areas. So what I suggest you is just to choose one of the 4 areas. So general understanding of organization, main steps or legal requirements, or from idea generation to market, or financial resources, and to look at the area. Another favor, I'm not sure we will have time to recap the outcomes of the conversation in each table, but I would appreciate if each table can nominate a rapporteur, writing down the main discussion points, so that when we go back to Brussels, to the Brussels office, we can follow up on your comments. Thanks.